Good afternoon, Mayank. Thank you so much for joining us today in our today's episode of Industry Dialogue. We've been having this with leading industry experts across various fields, and we've been just trying to pick their brains to understand emerging trends in the market. Because one thing we have seen is that, especially post-COVID, the world is becoming more and more VUCA. So the single most important challenge that we see that leaders are facing is trying to navigate an increasingly complex space, right? So on this subject, the topic for today is to understand the importance of appropriate staffing and employee retention at a store level, and of course, uh, to share his insights on the same, joining us today is Mayank Gupta. Now, Mayank, is someone with whom I've had the privilege of working with for over 3 years now. He has experience of over 22 years, and his current role in Stuffcraft, where he has been entrusted the responsibility of leading the strategy and execution of new business verticals in Stuffcraft, which is India's largest kitchen appliances company, and he's handling new business verticals such as PGN Retail, Black& Decker, Gilmar, Modular Kitchen Business. So he is currently the Chief Growth Officer, and he's been with Stuffcraft for 2.5 years now. Welcome, Mayank, to our
Thank
industry.
you. Thank you for inviting me today, Bala. Good afternoon to you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Mike. So without further ado, we can jump into the discussion for today. Yeah.
Sure.
So on the subject of importance of appropriate staffing and employee retention at the store level, um, I think first things first, how do you ensure the recruitment of manpower in the right numbers and of the right quality for these in-store positions, considering multiple factors such as you need to have customer service skills, you need to have product knowledge, and you also need to have the right mindset slash cultural fit as well. So how do you go about this in the first place?
So first is, Bala, I would say, first is partnering with the right partners like TeamLease to ensure that we have the right people at stores. And obviously, when it comes to selection, I would answer the question in different phases maybe. First is obviously the selection part. How do we select the right people? I think always for me, the first part of the selection for any candidate who is going to be at the store, who is going to, be at the receiving end of the consumer, the face has to be smiling. They have to have inviting personality for a consumer, so that the customer feels comfortable and invited in their company. That is the first and foremost. See, everything else we can train them on, but fake smile you cannot train. So they need to have that personality, they need to have that smile, so that the consumer feels comfortable with them. That is the first part. Second is obviously their past experiences, what kind of businesses they were with. So we are into a category which is more of a push category. Somebody is in a store to buy a cooker, you have to push them to buy a pan also, or you have to educate them about OTG also, you have to educate them about new irons also. So we look at people who have worked with brands, which is not a pull. For example, we don't generally hire people from a grocery background, wherein people would come and buy on their own. So that is more of a postman job rather than a salesman job. So that is one key parameter. Second, without naming the brands, we look at brands whom we look up to, right? So that I know that yes, 50% of my job is already done with them. And third and foremost, is what kind of turnover they have seen in their careers. So if, for example, my target of a turnover from a store is X, I do not hire people who only do 50% of the X in their current job, because for them, even at 50%, they will think I'm doing a good turnover. So they should feel hungry about it. So I look at people who are already doing 2X of what I want to do in my store, so that they feel hungry and they feel that, yes, I'm doing very small. Even though he's achieving the target, he should feel that hunger. And then obviously you have to amplify all those things with the right incentive policy and the right salary structures and the programs that we have.
Great. No, so two things that I took away from this which stood out for me. One is a pleasing personality trumps, having product knowledge and skill sets, etc. Because
Yes,
you
yes,
will not be any
absolutely.
effective without that. So that's one point, right? Which stood out. Second point that stood out is that you look at hiring people or onboarding people who are already empaneled with brands that you look up to or your own aspirational brands, right?
I would not
So,
say it can be same category or a different category altogether, because when it comes to retail or it comes to selling, the product, is not the only thing to be specific. So I am not looking at people only from the appliances or only from the cookware background. It can be from apparel, it can be, from any other background, but something which who has done good in retail, who are doing the processes right.
so consumer facing role primarily,
Yes,
right? So that
consumer
he's
facing.
used to that rhythm of
Right.
working in that, and not somebody who's working in a warehouse, for example. Then it's going to be a
Yes.
bridge too far, right?
One is warehouse, two is Bala for ours. If you see in our category, ours is not a category which is till now. If you have seen our stores, we have done it very differently. Our kind of a category was never sold like this. It was always in a old school Bartan ki dukan, Gupta traders or Gupta enterprises who were selling those products with 50 pans lying hanging on the ceiling of the store,
Yeah.
compared to how we are selling in a very neat fashion.
Yeah, yeah. No, no, of course. I think in your own store, you will obviously have a lot more control over the visibility and also the availability of the products, but you may not be able to control that elsewhere. So that's there. So that brings me to the next question also, Mayank. So the point that you made that, you know, uh, you need to look at personality first and then maybe look at other stuff as well. And you also look to onboard people who have some relevant retail experience as well, right? Fine. So if they have relevant retail experience, at least the personality and the rhythm of the job is solved
Coming
for.
on
But
this
then
topic.
it's also important that you are able to train and develop them so that they have the right skills, knowledge to be able to manage your business and also be productive, right? So how
Right.
do you go about doing that once
So
they come
two,
on
three
board?
things. One is we generally hire people at least 2 weeks in advance from their, actual charge or, starting their actual job. So it is more of a on-the-job training, I would say, but at a different store, which is already performing well, or with a manager who is doing good. That is one, which is around 10 to 15 days of time. Second is we have regional mobile trainers who keep, visiting stores every fortnight, who visit stores every fortnight, give them training. And these mobile trainers are not only product trainers, they give holistic training, whether it is a POS training or a product training or a customer handling training or training on the consumer journey. Three, we keep doing a weekly session. So we have a weekly call with all our store teams with, and every week, like you have invited me today, we invite a product manager or a product lead from the company who talks about his particular category and what are the key points in the new products which are getting launched, and what are the key points, and they also take a feedback from them, what is the kind of consumer feedbacks they are getting, so that we can work on them, on the NPDs, so they also feel engaged.
Interestingly, one point that you mentioned, Mike, that you hire these people 2 weeks in advance of when you want them to hit the ground running. So, which means you are open to investing into, because that 2 weeks of salary that you have to pay them is clearly an investment from your side, and they are okay to do that as well, right? Because I haven't heard a lot of companies who are actually willing to do that at scale.
No, absolutely. You have to invest and see whether it is a regional mobile trainer or 2 weeks of salary, or whether it is, inviting them to the factory. We also invite them to the factory in between.
Yeah, yeah,
So we keep doing different batches. So we invite a complete batch one day to our factory to understand, for that they understand the manufacturing process. See, first, Bala, what I have very firmly believe, is if you are convinced with the product, then only you will be able to convince somebody else. So more than anything, they should be convinced that they are selling the right product and the product they are selling is superior than anything else in the market. So to instill that confidence in them, you have to invest the time, energy, effort, and everything. And this investment, I would say, this 2 weeks of salary is very small investment. If you calculate the returns on the investment that they can deliver in the in the times to come.
yeah. No, fantastic. I think it makes a lot of sense because a lot of customers I've seen, they just try to poach readily available talent, right? So that they believe they can hit the ground running from day one, so that they don't really have to invest the time and effort in training. But it's not really sustainable or scalable anyway in the long run,
So,
right?
Bala, that is one. Number two, I have also seen one thing. So, whosoever we have invited to a factory, or whosoever, the engagement is very high when with this staff, the retention goes up drastically. The attrition level goes down because they start feeling that, yes, I am working for a good company, I am working for a big brand. Even though you are working for, say a very, very big brand, but you don't know about the history, you don't know about, the manufacturing capabilities, you don't know about the, the progress of the brand. They don't feel attached.
Fantastic. Great. So you spoke about one interesting aspect of them feeling attached to the brand, and secondly, also you mentioned about them being very close to the products as well. They see how it is manufactured, etc. That will actually instill that sense of confidence in them. That what, I've seen how end to end this gets manufactured, and he'll be able to present this better to customers. Now that brings me the second aspect of training, which I think is getting more traction. Of late, especially now, consumers' needs are evolving, right? This whole omni-channel strategy that everybody is following. So, a consumer is well aware of the product before he even comes to the store. So, a lot of the decision making may have already happened. So, I'm not sure how much of discovery is actually happening at a store level right now, Mayank. I think it is more of them already having some opinions in their mind, and they come to the store to validate those opinions and see if there is any other option which they may not have seen online, right?
Sure.
So that is happening. So in that light, how exactly are you training your in-store promoters particularly to be able to handle this changing consumer preferences and behavior?
Sure. So, Bala, two things. One is, in our case, specifically for Pigeon exclusive store, so it is only 30/70, wherein 30% consumers come with a pre-mindset of what they want to buy because they know Pigeon, one, and they would have, interacted with the brand maybe online or maybe at a modern trade or anywhere else. But 70% of the consumers that we are getting right now at stores are fresh consumers. When I say fresh consumers who have not interacted with the brand Pigeon earlier, because my penetration in the market was not very, very deep. That is one. Two is, as an organization, we sell more than 600 items, right? Wherein at any other modern trade or e-com, we don't have presence of more than 150. So when they come to store, that is when they realize, okay, Pigeon makes all these extra products also, all these, different SKUs. And that is what we train our people majorly on. That when customer comes in and he asks for a, say, pressure cooker, which we are known for, or a non-stick, which we are known for, you also need to talk to them about three different categories, right? Which they don't want to buy today, maybe just for the sake of, knowledge sharing, and maybe sake of, making the customer aware that, yes, we are present into these categories also, so that they can, they buy today or they can buy tomorrow. And I'm very happy to say a lot of sales that we are doing is impulse also, that consumer sees the product, they like, oh yes, this is a very good product, I wanted it. They were not aware that is a Pigeon, but they buy. Coming to the second part, we have done some, I would not say very high technological things, but very simple. So I firmly believe the retail is all about basics and detail. If you keep the basics right, and if you work in detail, the things are sorted. So one is the free home delivery. So we have partnered with the local delivery partners. So any customer who wants the delivery done, or who can also order from their phone, right? And we get the delivery done to their homes. That is one. Second is endless aisle. If they are visiting a store, they don't get the right size of the cooker they want or the right product that they want, they can order it from the tab that is there at the store, and they get the delivery at their home. Third is, we also have now launched a price match policy, wherein if you are as a consumer, you walk into the store and there is a fest going on Amazon, wherein the price is the difference at store versus on Amazon, we match the price. So I think these are the three tools, which give them a good amount of confidence and edge
Yeah.
to convert a consumer.
Fantastic. No, I mean, if I am a store promoter and if I have these three weapons in my arsenal, then I'll feel very confident about my conversion levels, right?
Yes.
So
They
there is
don't
that.
feel afraid
Also,
of the questions of the consumer.
yeah, yeah, exactly, exactly. I mean, you know that whatever situation may come up, you have something to be able to handle.
Something to offer. Yeah.
Good to hear that. Now, of course, you make sure that if I look at the flow of everything you've said, so you ensure that you have the right soft skills in the people when you hire them, of course, and then you give them the right product knowledge, you give them factory experience, etc. And then you also train them on these three tools or these three options that they have to be able to handle most, if not all, of client queries as well. But a very important aspect here also is to ensure that employees are sufficiently engaged so that they are satisfied and motivated, and hence the attrition levels are low, right? Because being in a constant firing and hiring mode is also very unproductive. So how do you ensure that, Mike?
So, Bala, this is something which is very, very tricky, I would say. And good part is we Indians are very emotional. So I always feel that, to connect with people and to ensure that the attrition level, are not going high, you have to connect with people emotionally. So what we have done is two, three things. The first and foremost, we have launched a program called Born to Lead, right? Wherein we have given a very clear career path to each and every individual who is joining the organization. For example, as low as a sales executive or a sales promoter, how a sales promoter can graduate to a cashier, to a store manager, to a cluster manager, to an area manager, till a state head in the pan of 3 to 4 years, right? If you, and it is very, very clear, and here the parameters are very, very practical. If you need to have a tenure of 6 months and the XYZ performance, you automatically get graduated to a cashier. At cashier level, you need to perform for 9 months with XYZ parameters, you automatically graduate to a store manager. Until the state head, they can grow. That is one. And each level, we offer an increment of 40 to 50%, right? So because the deliverables are changing drastically from a sales promoter to a cashier to a store manager to an area manager or cluster manager. That is one, I think, which has given us a very good amount of retention. And I am very happy. We have already from, assistant manager to cluster manager. In our team, we already have 9 people who have graduated in the last 2 years. And those are the examples. Now, because all our other 200 managers are seeing that these were the guys who were junior to me or with me and have now become a cluster manager within the span of 1.5 years. Second is what we are also doing is for people who are having exceptional performance, for more than 9 months consecutively, we offer them a franchisee at store, right? Which is as good as 30% of the normal franchisee investment. So for example, if somebody wants to take my franchisee today and needs to invest 20 lakh rupees, and if I have a staff who is a good performer, obviously with the parameters, we offer them franchisee at 5 lakh rupees. And 5 lakh rupees is not a very big amount for them to invest. And then they get all the facilities and everything what a normal franchisee does. And then they are sorted for life. Right.
This
And
is,
their opportunity to earn becomes 5x
yeah.
the moment they become a franchisee. And we already have 4 people who have, taken this opportunity in the last 2 years. And now we are seeing in this month, we have seen more than 8 or 9 applications more for franchisee who were the performance. And now they are seeing their friends who used to come in, I would say, Activa has now graduated to a Royal Enfield and now looking at buying a bike in last 1 year because their income has grown from 25,000 rupees to 70,000 rupees a month.
Yeah.
Right. And third and foremost, like I said earlier, is engagement. We keep doing a lot of calls with them, a lot of, I would say, brainstorming calls with all our managers. So, for example, we are having a tough month, assuming that rather than, screaming, howling, shouting that we are not doing sales, we bring them all together on a Google Meet call and start doing brainstorming session. What do you think is the right way of going forward? Where do you think are we lacking? What do you think we should do, to navigate this situation? So they feel engaged, they feel, motivated, they feel that yes, my voice is being heard. Good, bad, whatever be the idea, we hear it out, and then we keep doing a lot of, what do you say, instant rewards and instant gifts. Anybody gave a good idea, he is rewarded instantly. Okay, this is a good idea, we will start implementing next month. So this guy Bala has given a good idea today, he is rewarded with X amount or X product. Yeah, and last is, I touched upon the topic as the NPD. So we are engaging these managers a lot on the NPD because as a company, I personally feel these are the right people to tell where our product lacks. Because they are talking to the consumer day in, day out, and consumer might be asking 10 things, out of which 2 might not be in our product. And they can tell the product manager that if you add this 2, then this product is a win-win. So we keep doing a lot of engagement sessions with them on the new NPD as well. When the product gets launched, that is the time we go back to that candidate and tell, see, you gave that idea that day, this is what we have incorporated in this product. And then there is a full what do you say, greetings coming on the groups to that particular individual, that what a great idea you give to the company. It is very small thing, you have incorporated that idea, so you remember that person who has given that idea.
No, of course. So I see. It's fantastic to hear that you're saying that there is a lot of inclusion and there is public recognition. Thirdly, there is a clear growth path or a career trajectory that's visible to them. And fourth, lastly but definitely not the least, whoever has that entrepreneurial streak inside them, you promote that, you actually support that financially, and you encourage them to do it rather than just saying that why don't you do it. You're actually supporting them and giving them a head start by
Yes.
giving them up to 5 lakhs. Right? That's brilliant to hear. See, because Mike, one thing that I've always wondered is that if you look at, let's say, IT services companies, ITES industry, right? You know very well that they've been paying pretty much the same salaries for graduate freshers today that they were paying 15, 20 years ago. It has not
Right.
changed. Even in nominal terms, it is the same, which means in real terms, adjusted for inflation, it's become significantly lower, right?
Lower.
A store promoter can actually make more money, including incentives and everything, than a graduate fresher can at an ITES company, right? So today, the reason why you would find it very difficult to get an engineering graduate fresher to join as a store promoter is because of an external perception, right?
Right.
There is a social stigma associated with it, and they also feel that sales job is tough and I have to stand all day and all that, and there is no social standing for it, and I may not be able to earn much is one perception. But one very important perception which I have understood by talking to these candidates is that they feel it is a dead end job. They feel
Uh,
that I cannot really go anywhere beyond this. I join as a store salesperson, I'll die as a store salesperson.
yes,
Right?
agreed.
So if you are saying that the store salesperson also has a career trajectory, he can rise up to the level of a state head or maybe even beyond, like you were saying. That's phenomenal, and that could actually dramatically change the game. If this kind of positioning can actually be more broad based and it can be harmonized with a broader audience, right? Your the pool of people that you can potentially tap into will go up exponentially, because today that's one of the big challenges we are facing, right?
That was the
65
missing piece. Yes.
65% of the people who work as store promoters pan India, right, in the consumer durables
They keep
space.
hopping between companies as promoter only.
Exactly, they keep hopping, and if you look at it, two-thirds of them are undergraduates. They are either 10th 12th pass, or maybe an ITA diploma equivalent, right? They're not graduates at all. So if you can actually entice graduates to come into this, then by showing them a career trajectory, entrepreneurial opportunities and all that, and there are some nice brands as well in the industry, then the game will completely change, right? So it's great that you're working on initiatives which could actually sustain their interest rather than just look at them as mere resources to extract some value out of every month, right? So I think
Then it is a very, very short-term
that's a
game.
big
Yeah,
competitive
yeah, yeah.
advantage.
If
Yeah,
that is how we work, then it is a very short-term game. And only when they see their friends and peers growing, that is
yeah,
when they see the real excitement in life. That is,
totally.
if he can grow, why can't I?
Absolutely, absolutely. So, last question for today. Looking ahead, yeah, what emerging trends or innovations do you foresee shaping the future of retail workforce management, particularly, and how is your organization preparing to adapt to these changes to stay competitive in the market? I think you largely addressed that in the previous question itself. The kind of model that you have where you actually show the future, you show light at the end of the tunnel to your retail workforce itself could be a competitive advantage. But other than that, what trends do you foresee in retail workforce management, Mike?
Sure. So, Bala, one big challenge that I see today is for a lot of people, and it is a very vast topic if we start discussing that. Earlier, we used to see if somebody is earning 25,000 rupees, and they used to have a hunger that I have to earn more because I have to raise a family and everything. Today, that person who is earning 25,000 rupees, he is not the individual bread earner in the family. There are five bread earners in the family. So, if you see the family income, it is not 25,000. Family income is 1.2 lakhs or 1.5 lakhs. So the bigger challenge in the manpower that I see is even after you do all the good things, you give them the opportunities to grow, is the hunger. How do you bring in or how do you ignite that hunger in the person? For money, that is one. Number two, for growth. So now the challenge is if you have hired somebody and somebody is very good at his job, but he doesn't has the hunger to grow. I think that is one thing, which has to be cracked very, very clearly for everyone to grow in the organizations. If any organization wants to grow in this kind of a field. Second is, we have to keep creating more opportunities for them to learn and grow.
Yeah.
I think,
You're right. I think this is a challenge that everybody is talking about. That Gen Z's motivations are completely different. It's not as simplistic or one-dimensional as just money, right? So they have aspirations, which are very complex and different from what the previous generation had, right?
that is
So
one, Bala. Two, I'll give you another example and you might laugh it off. See, we have some of the sales executives whose salary say, 20,000 rupees in hand, right? And he has an opportunity to earn 10,000 rupees a month incentive, which is 50% of his salary, right? But they are not motivated enough to earn that incentive. A very simple reason, he is doing what do you say, a gig working job 2 hours in the morning and 2 hours in the evening. So he is making that 8-10,000 bucks from that 4 hours. So at the store, he is more or less demotivated, I would say, because he has already done his job.
mm,
He knows whether I do the selling today or I don't do the selling. My salary is secured and incentive I have done in the morning 2 hours and the evening 2 hours.
got it. So money not being the sole motivator and multiple
Yes.
choices available in the market.
Multiple
These two
choices.
things
That
are
is the
happening.
reason we came up with the career opportunities that they should
Yeah,
not look at only the money only today. They should look
yeah,
at what they can become tomorrow.
yeah. Yeah. And also the 40-50% increment you're talking about at each level, Mike. I think that's phenomenal.
Mm.
It's because you can't expect people to take up additional responsibilities for just a marginally higher pay. They will say
No,
that,
no,
you know
no.
what, I'll just stick to the current role itself. I don't
Yes.
want the promotion.
Yeah, why would I take, do much effort? I'll sit in a air-conditioned store rather than becoming a cluster manager, roaming in the market and, going to
Yeah.
5 stores or six
Yeah,
stores.
yeah. You're answerable for so many other people, right? And it'll always be a mixed bag. You will never have a team where everybody is a performer. So you will
Yeah,
anyways
yeah,
take a beating.
absolutely.
So no, fair, fair. I think fantastic. Mike, any closing remarks that you want to share with us?
I think the only, thing I would say is like in the starting also I said something similar to it. In retail, the game changer is only the manpower. You have a superb product, you have very good, retail experience inside the store. But if the person who is selling or the person who is interacting with the consumer is not right, it will fail. It ultimately boils down to the right manpower, interacting with the consumer, because for him, that person is the stovecraft. If you walk into a pigeon store and see who is stovecraft, that person is stovecraft. For that consumer, that person who is standing there is the image of the brand. I think that is the most important part. That is where a lot of brands miss also today.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. It was a wonderful, insightful, sharp, and powerful session, Mayank. I'm very sure that all of the audiences who will watch this on social media will have a lot of concrete takeaways from this. And it's really interesting to see that you are coming up with a web of solutions to manage and motivate the workforce rather than just take a one size fits all kind of an approach. Typically, a lot of organizations just poach from competition and pay as much as possible, and they motivate with money and brute force. This is the
Correct.
typical, you can say, formula that companies adopt, and
Yes,
they
formula.
hope that this will yield them the best results, right? But it's really interesting to see that you have actually come up with a proper solutionized way of approaching this, right? So thank you so much once
Thank
again
you for
for
having me, Bala. Thank you for your time. Take care.
most welcome. Take care.